Oh, hey, YouTube. Interesting fact. Did you guys know that The Lord of the Rings sold 150 million copies of that book? I didn't know that. Um, and if that doesn't impress you, Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, it sold 200 million books. Impressive. And there's another book, Don Quixote. This book sold a record number 500 million copies. That's a lot of books. Now, I haven't read any of those books, but I do read a book that, quite honestly, if you add those three sales up together, equal to about a little over 10% of the number of copies that have been produced of this book. And I think you know where I'm going with this. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the Holy Bible. This book I read all the time. I guess if there were a ranking system, it's pretty obvious to see who the GOAT is, right?
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. The judge has spoken. Now, the Bible doesn't just dominate in print, it also dominates in digital copy. I mean, there's not one device on planet Earth you can't download a copy of the Bible on. So it's everywhere. And my biggest excuse for never reading it in the past, before I was given my first Bible, was I thought that, this thing's 2,000 years old, it's going to sound like Shakespeare. And I never really got into Shakespeare. I mean, it was too many, odd words for me. Sorry. But boy, was I wrong. The Bible is very simple to understand. And I like the fact that it talks about people like me. I mean, all kinds of people that were tall, people that were short, people that were bald, people that were left-handed. All kind of people are in the Bible. And, I started reading it and seeing how they interacted with, God and Jesus. And it's always very interesting when a person came to meet God or an angel or something in the Bible. Uh, there's some very interesting events there. And that's because, very simply, I guess Isaiah put it the best way I can think of, by saying in chapter 55, verse 9, one of my favorite verses. It basically says God is on another level. It says he doesn't think like us, he doesn't act like us, he's on another level. And that's very true. Um, Obviously, I don't know from experience, but there's things in the Bible that you read that really help you get to understand what God's like. For instance, when you read about Jesus, who was basically God here on earth, he uh, he was not someone who promoted procrastination. When they were having the Last Supper, things were going along, and Jesus looked straight at Judas at one point and said, pretty much, I know what you're going to do. Go ahead and get it done. Do it quickly, he said. which is kind of odd because he's basically telling Judas to go hurry up and kill me. I don't have time to waste, uh, which is another level because I'm a big procrastinator. And, Jesus also, that time he fed the 5,000. When everyone had had their fill, he told his 12 guys, hey, go round up the extras. I don't want anything wasted. you know. So a very non-wasteful guy. And the one that really blows me away is when I read the very first thing Jesus did once he resurrected. The very first thing he did wasn't to go find the 12. It wasn't to go preach. It wasn't to go do miracles. Would you believe the very first thing Jesus did was to make his bed? It shocked me too. And we know that because when Peter and Andrew got to the tomb, they looked around. Jesus wasn't there, but they saw everything was made up, and the clothes he had been buried in were all folded up and placed neatly in the corner, and he cleaned up, even though he knew he would never return to that tomb. Oh, sorry about that. Forgot to make my bed. But obviously the whole point of this video is not to make your bed, although it can't hurt. I read the Bible and I read about this guy, Jesus, who was not like me in a lot of ways, but he was also like me in a lot of ways. Believe it or not, Jesus had 4 younger brothers and sisters, a family very similar to my own. And this guy was so impressive that he got 12 guys to basically value following him over staying alive. How do you impact somebody to the point in which they turn off their own survival instinct? That's just, I needed to know. And the more I read about the Bible, the more it helps me to get that these guys weren't crazy. Not at all. They just understood some things that I didn't, and that I'm hoping to more and more each day. Oh, wait, you know what? The champ is actually here. Hold on. Hey, champ, for all the fans watching, say a few words.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide.